Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's show. We've got the beautiful Lea and lovely Evan. Thank you guys for coming back on. It was so nice to see you guys over, was it last week? Time's going fast.
I know.
Yeah. And how are you guys doing today?
Yeah, no, good. I managed to actually escape the computer and go weed around my veggie garden this morning, so it was quite nice in the sun.
Being in the sunlight
in the spring.
I don't know what that feels like, but sounds good to me. But pale. Yeah, it's been going pretty well actually. Things have been things have gotten very busy, which is always a good thing because being bored is the sport for the stupid. So I think the busier we are, the better it is.
We must be really
smart. Yeah.
Really busy.
Yeah, you guys do keep yourself busy with not many days off. So today's going to be an update on Earth missions, and we're going to be talking about the Starseed side of things and the experiencer side of things. You guys might have caught on my channel where Evan and I have talked about some of our ET experiences, and it's so interesting because knowing each other for years, it was only, I think, was it last year or the year before or so, we worked out that we had other simultaneous type
Very
events.
similar.
Yeah. So I can't wait to hear about Lea's events and experiences and things, and maybe even chat with one of the guides that you work with as well. So this will be a really, really interesting show. If you guys do have questions, please let us know in the comments below. And I just want to say thank you so much to people that have come on over from both channels. It's nice to have a bigger soul tribe over here too. So we really appreciate you guys. And maybe drop an ET emoji in the comments if you guys have also had experiences, because I'd love to see how many kind of familiar ET soul tribe we do have here today. And I can see there's a couple in there already. So do you guys want to give us maybe a brief intro on yourselves, your background with Forgotten Origins, and anything else you want to add?
Yeah, so it was basically me and my father, Stephen Strong.
Oh, sorry, Ev, you're a little bit softer in the mic.
We'll go a bit closer. Yeah, me and my father, Steve, years ago, were reading a lot about Gnostic Christianity and philosophy, and then found some parallels to the Aboriginal dreaming and the dream time. So we tried to write a few books, and then somehow in amongst our crap writing at the start, some people saw potential. So yeah, we started writing books. We ended up writing a few books for University Press of America. We've got another book with the same publisher, Hampton Rose, that does the Dalai Lama, and then a whole bunch that we've kind of done ourselves as well. So yeah, we're up to about 6 or 7 books, but amongst all of that, there's heaps of field work. There's working with the elders, but our basis is kind of a bit science-based, but we don't shy away from the metaphysical, the off-world stuff. So we like to be more inclusive and grab all the different things, because I think that's what a lot of academia misses. There's no broad vision between disciplines, and obviously they wouldn't necessarily like all the metaphysical, spiritual stuff, but it is part of life, and I think most of us can agree that that's an element and a layer of our experience. So why not? And it's in all the tribal indigenous cultures. They always talk about the spirits, and there's a lot of off-world stuff in their mythology as well. So yeah, I guess it's just a matter of and then we kind of launched our Alien Ancestry, which is our kind of conferences, which we do. Well, we try to do them once a month. We just had one yesterday, launching and introducing the event we're having in Byron next weekend. So yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
And let me pop that one up just while we're talking about it too, so that those that are watching, if you don't want to miss out, good time to jump on over. Just keep this little window open.
Yeah.
And let me just see. Sorry, guys, my computer is actually, the StreamYard that I'm using is glitching. It won't let me take down a comment at the moment to show the full thing. But you guys get the thing. So it's general admission concession, online tickets, and it's right on that eclipse weekend too. So that'll make for a very interesting energy going into, it's kind of, I was just doing some of the astrology side of it and preparing for events I've got on too around that time. It's going to be really interesting. We're really seed planting for what we want to create for the future. So I think what better space to be in than with a collective, whether you're online or in person. So make sure to head on over to, and I'll pop the thing up in a second, where you can go. And also Forgotten Origin, if you head over there, you'll be able to find, oh good, it's letting me show the whole thing.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
So let me put up the banner. This is the banner for the address. And I might even just copy and paste it and pop it in the chat so you guys can grab that as well.
Thank you.
And yeah, is there anything else you guys want to mention about the conference? It'd be very exciting.
Well, just to reiterate what we discussed last time on your show, I want to make it really clear that this conference is not necessarily just to, we've had a few people say like, oh well, that's, the pricing is a bit high, but in comparison to a lot of other events that are currently running on at the moment, it's actually considerably cheap, and it actually goes towards the actual elders and other original people who are speaking. It's not to fill our pockets. It's not to, it's not any for any of that. This is actually to go towards them. And for people who are purchasing online tickets, 50% of the profits from that go directly to the elders for royalties in the future. So even though they do get paid for their time on that weekend, they still receive royalties after the fact. So, which of course that recording will be available for anyone to purchase at any point in the future. But of course, it's always better to see things live and happening right in the moment.
All the tech issues.
All the
before we edit them out.
and all, so yeah, it's really important, because this is also an opportunity for us to get some really high standing elders to come in and talk old way, which we've never really had. We've had Uncle Lewis talk on our show, our Alien Ancestry, twice before. I think it was twice. And he shared a lot of information, but this is the first time he's in person, and he's going to go into much more detail. And he will have Nissen, who is kind of his offsider. They'll be kind of talking back and forth with each other. They're two speakers, and they'll kind of be sharing information between each other, pulling more things out of each other, which is even better than just doing a straight monologue. Because in a lot of old way culture, communication is always best shared. Like, you get more stuff when you have more people talking at the same time. So you'll get to actually see something authentic there. And I think, and they're willing to share this with us, and it's more needed more than ever now. And I think it's very exciting, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to do more of these events and more of these gatherings. And that's pretty much what I wanted to highlight. So
thank you for that. And I think it's quite an exciting time to be able to bring these elders forward to share in this way, because if we think about a lot of the other people tuning in, especially from my audience, so in the States and in Canada, and it's a little bit hard to fly over here or to go sit in circle or across from the fire and to be able to communicate with some of these beautiful people that you guys are bringing together. So I want to kick this off talking about, I found an old photo, I think it was 2017, I had this vision and drew a sketch, just talking about a little bit to do with like future prophecy side of things. Oh, and Lorianne was also kindly pointing out, we've got, let me just pop this little window back up. So this is coming up this week. So if you guys haven't registered for the free event, the Soul Tribe Activation Meditation, you'll see it in the description box below. It's posted on Instagram, Facebook, many other videos as well. You'll find the description link. So please come and register for the free event. We are actually meeting video chat if people feel comfortable doing face-to-face video chat. So there's quite a few of you already from our Soul Tribe. So I can't wait to introduce everyone together as well as to create something. So it's going to be exciting. And I'll just pop up this pic. So this one, this was from 2017, I think. And I'm just going to find my little notes that I'd written. So this was after being at yoga and just getting like this massive vision. So it was an interdimensional teacher, and it was just a quick sketch that I did of a vision that I had. So the vision came after dedicating a session, and I dedicated it towards a mountain that is local, because a lot of mountains will have soul energy, and they're anchoring and helping us to shift into new timelines. They're conscious beings as well. So with this session of yoga, I dedicated it to the mountain, and I received a vision. So with this, I saw how we communicate with the land and really honor the land and each other, and that there will come a time when we have more full-blown ET interdimensional contact. So I've written here, the beings are not far out of our vibration, but they're waiting for us to step up to the plate and really deeply care and connect with the earth, the animals, and each other. So this starts by making conscious choices around the way that we live and sort of impact that it has on our planet. The other part of the equation is also treating ourselves as divine beings, so which includes love, honor, respect, nourishing ourselves in ways that don't negatively impact the earth or other beings, animals included. So these loving higher consciousness beings are awaiting humanity to make the change, and they're ready to teach us. So helping us to remember that we are divine beings, and that they've also got a lot of things to share with us in terms of skills and talents that we've forgotten that we have. So bigger picture, we are still part of a wider galactic family that exists on many different density levels. So it's about being ready and open, having the eyes to see, and experiencing the worlds of the unseen. So that blue swirl that you see in the background with the star kind of thing is a portal. And that was children that I saw that were sort of part of the new earth, and they were having, I guess, an education session. So outside amongst nature. But anyway, I thought that was a good one to kickstart talking about ET experiences and prophecy for future.
Exactly.
So you guys want to flow on from that? That'd be fantastic.
I just, the moment I saw that your sketch, it was I just got like bang, like a flood in my head. I'm like, I've seen it. Maybe not the exact same, but it was so familiar, because I've seen kind of that very bright it was like this very bright surroundings, lots of yellows, lots of greens, and it was I was walking. Well, this is during one of my astral travels, so it wasn't a visitation per se, but it was more like me visiting. Instead, I was the visitor, and I'm kind of going through this sort of pathway. I want to say kind of like the countryside, if you will, and it was like a cobbled pathway, and in the middle I saw this tree, but it wasn't a organic tree as we would consider a tree to be. It was actually a lamppost, or like lamppost / energy pylon. I'm not sure, that it was in the shape of a tree. It had all these blue crystals sort of stacked up in the center of it, and it had vines growing in on around it, and like they had like little two bulbous parts at the like sort of sticking out on the top, and it was like illuminating, and then there was this huge lake to my left, or I think it was to my right. 360 vision in your astral form, you're like everything's on the left and right, but it was like this really interesting, and there was the same kind of colors, a very high saturation, like somebody just turned it up to 11. So it was a really, really pretty place, and I'm thinking like, oh, this is nice. Like if this is a lamppost, man, like imagine what the city looks like. It probably wasn't a lamppost. I'm just, because I'm not smart, so it's like I'm
Yes,
gonna it was it, and so when I saw that image, it was, I didn't see anybody there, I didn't perceive anybody there, but it was very kind of like peaceful, like this is just the way it was so, whoever was living there, you could tell that there was this very intense respect for nature, and the artistry of even their artificial, the making of artificial things. There was such a high level of artistry to actually show respect to the natural environment, because it's mirroring a tree, or like mirroring a bush, or whatever it may be. And but there was also a level of not just intense respect, but also a level of like a fear / reverence. So it's kind of like we respect nature so much, we're afraid if it turns against us, then it could go haywire, you know, like, you know, haywire. So it was that potent. So yeah, now I've seen a few of those things in the past myself, and it's always breathtaking. Yeah, how some other people do it, you know, like how they show their connection and respect and love on their own respective worlds or planes or wherever it may be. But I've always found it to be there's a lot more beauty. I think there's more beauty there. Like they spend more time putting beauty into things than I think we've done in modern day on Earth in many ways, because still, like, you know, if you compare it to, say, like Victorian times, it's just, so I'm going on a bit of a tangent, I apologize, but like they put a lot of effort into their buildings, like the artistry, like you know, the Renaissance, they put a lot of artistry in their buildings.
Oh, yeah, even their like their gutters. And
the gutters are pretty, you know. It's just like we got like, here's a plastic, you know, a metal dish that we just hammered in and stuck it on the side of the wall. Good to go. We just lost it. I'm thinking, like, man, like we don't.
Yeah. All the Tartarian stuff.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's really intriguing, and I can't wait to have a little bit more of a chat too about the ET side of things, going deeper in some of your interactions. I just want to send love to, there's a lot of people in the chat just going through some things, and, you know, not a surprise with the eclipse coming up, so just sending you guys a bit of love and healing vibes. And I was just thinking, with that pic that we had up with the blue portal, I didn't even connect the dots. I'm like, oh, kind of like the blue portal that we had at Uluru that appeared in the sky.
Yeah,
and it's interesting because I see it in people's auras as well, that they have that blue portal energy, and it specifically came in right before the Uluru activation. Do you want to share maybe an ET experience that's coming up for you right now that could be related to prophecy?
Ooh, okay. All right, let me try to think of one. There's so many.
Well, you have a think. So with so the more recent ET contact I've had was mostly with Mesrith. And it's more for like the standard like Q&As and stuff, but every once in a while he would whisper something. Like Mesrith is my primary ET contact. He is the one that who's essentially my mentor, who's my guide. He's my friend, but also sometimes my frenemy, depending on the time of day and what I say to him. So totally you know, he does playful insults, so I'm happy with that. Like if you have a friend like that, you know what I mean. They're solid. But he has been kind of giving me little hints and clues, not necessarily with prophecy. I haven't seen the connection yet with prophecy exactly, but he was saying things like more on an interpersonal level. I remember we were having this, what would be like a seemingly silly discussion, but the last thing he said was, I said, imagine you come here and then everyone just starts like worshiping you or something like that, and I would be the first one that'll be like, how may I serve you, my old master, and everything, but doing like a really gravelly Igor kind of like voice. And then he's like, Lea, stop. Like the only serving you do is self-serving to the second bowl of ice cream. And I'm thinking like that really hurt my feelings. But at the same time, it kind of clued me into something. I'm thinking like self-service, like what does that mean? Yeah, because he was kind of, because I've always kind of lived a pretty isolated life in many ways because of my experiences, and not to say that I'm like, you know, I don't have beautiful people around me and I communicate with, but there's a strong sense of like self, dare I say, centeredness. It's more of like, okay, this is my experience, I'm going to do this, and in the last few months, he's kind of been eluding me, like trying to break that down, trying to snap, like tear that thinking and behavior out of me. And and it became apparent during the last conference in Bundaberg. This was 2 months ago. Remember that? And I had a bit of a meltdown because, you know, conferences are always really intense and there's like full of people, and just sometimes, you know, I'm introverted, so I retreat. When I was having that moment of panic of like, you know, everything feels like it's crashing around me, I retreated to my fortress. He comes knocking on the door. He's like, "What's wrong? Why are you upset?" And I'm like, "It's too scary out there." And he says, "Look, there's nothing wrong with having your you know, a safe space within your mind, but whatever you do, make sure you take the bed and all the comfortable furniture out of it, so you don't stay there for too long, because you can't keep doing this. You can't keep retreating when things get tough, because you will not have the time to retreat and stay there in the coming years, because only a few months later, we've been just hit with so many wonderful opportunities that we need to be on the ball with and snapping with." And he's just like, "Yeah, you can't stay there anymore. You can't be you know, focused solely on yourself anymore. That the time for that is finished. You're no longer a child anymore." And so he has been kind of like, on a personal level, helping me, you know, mature me up for this coming time. And I didn't realize that it was actually for these coming months. And of course, you never realize until it's too late. Until it hits you. But yeah, that's been kind of, he's been helping. He acts cruel. Wait, what was it? What's that word? It's like he has to be cruel to be kind with me. So that is because that's the only way I receive. Like, I'm receptive to anything. If someone's like, "Are you okay, sweet?" I just like, I don't go away. That ain't me. But yeah. Anyway, that's been me.
I actually do, had a good think there, and I do it occasionally.
You're good at that. Yeah.
Probably think too much sometimes.
Oh yes.
But I did think of something. It was years ago, and I did have like a visitation or experience, and you know, as usual, I don't, because I'm lazy, I don't go for any exercises. I just go to sleep and I'm astral traveling, or I'm doing this. It's just like, okay, like I don't go through the process. I just go to sleep and then stuff happens. And this particular time, I was taken somewhere else, and for years and years and years, and I always wondered where, but all I knew is wherever I was, everything, it was like having the knowledge of everything. So, and the sense of peace with that, it's like everything made sense. So everything that had ever gone wrong in my life, oh yeah, of course, that's happened. Yeah, okay, cool. And that sense of peace of knowing how everything fits, especially for my overactive mind, was like bliss. And for years, I always wondered, why did I get taken there? And then when I came back into this realm, I kind of still had that feeling. I was just like, oh, I know everything now. And then 5 seconds later, I'm like, oh, it's going away. 10 seconds later, it's gone. And I thought, well, I want that all the time. Can't. I don't think our brain can handle that amount of data and information at once. Like, we wouldn't be able to exist in this realm. But what I'm thinking is that was a little taste of what could be possible if we do make better choices for our future in the world. And I think for me, it's made more sense now that can be something we can reach, maybe not permanently, because or maybe when the earth ascends, maybe we can. Maybe when the vibration, and I didn't know anything about the Schumann resonance back then because it's like 20 years ago or whatever. I think maybe we can hold on to that more when we reach that next level. And you know, for years afterwards, I want that again, like, because it was amazing and that sense of peace. But the only other one I think also, and this is something I just pulled out of my head now, I did have an astral death experience, and for years I'm like, why? Like, why did I die? And it still affects me physically since, but I think that's also for the future too. It's given me a taste on how things used to be, where if you were to break protocol, you'd die. And I don't see that in our future. And I know some people aren't going to like me saying this. And yeah, look, maybe back then it served. But I don't think we needed quite that black and white.
Yeah.
I think we can have a little bit more
Nuance.
softness and nuance, because we're always going to do things wrong. And I certainly did by looking at this particular astral representation of a shape-shifting spirit. And in traditional times, like a dog would walk into the camp and everyone would look down the ground and go, oh, that's that spirit. We can't look at it. Can't look at it. And I did. I just went, oh, what's going on? And even these figures went, don't turn around. And I went, I'm turning around. And that's when I saw this kind of massive different forms. Some were human, some were animals, some I'd never seen before. So for me, that almost represents the thing that we're trying to work on, which is Wirigin, which is white fella, black fella dreaming. So yes, that form of spirituality and is there and should be embraced, but maybe we need some of the more softer nuance thrown in there too. So, like poor innocent Evan in Astral Realms just looking around at stuff, like, for years and years and years, I went, it's not fair. I didn't deserve to die because of a mistake. And I and it was very hard to kind of physically afterwards. Like I spent years dealing with that. But I've kind of made a little bit more peace with it, going, well, maybe I had to experience that because it highlights, in a way, a prophecy where we want the best of both worlds. So maybe by highlighting one of the aspects of the old world that maybe doesn't serve us anymore, it shows me that, we need to integrate both systems together. So, there's two.
And I think you touched on an interesting point that, like your feeling is that we're going in a positive way. And I think I saw Lea nodding as well in agreement that, the stuff that they say in terms of bad or negative outcome, it doesn't have to be that way. And I think when we look at predictive programming and things of that nature, I know when I was about kindergarten age, feeling like I was just laying in bed, I remember watching the sun come in. It's so clear. I must have only been about like 4 or 5 years old. But I remember this feeling of sinking and feeling like my body was feeling or sinking into the void space. And then I felt this vibration, which we now know being ET experiences, that a lot of the time before you're taken, there's either a hum or there's this like undulating feeling of your body getting up into another vibration and density. And I remember that same feeling of like being in this space where there was a download of all information. And I also felt like that space was also a creation point, which I later came out to get more information as I got older, that it was what Barry Littleton calls a Mako, which is like a black hole, and they're like storage information, or kind of like a universal hard drive is another way of looking at it. But if we look at, creating and using quantum, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about falling into that void space or nothingness. And I'm like, okay, everything's sort of adding up to make sense. But if we can go to that space, collapse any charge, collapse any feeling or energy that we've got around the negative, and just try and become, as he says, nobody, no space, no thing, then we can set and hold that intention, or just like the picture I popped up before, for like the intergalactic family or intergalactic neighborhood to come together, and for us to get back to a time of receiving the knowledge. And like we've talked about on other shows, Kano saying to you guys when he appeared in front of the fire and disappeared, that you guys can do this too.
Everyone can do it.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the interactions that we've had are more of sort of like the progressive nature to move us ahead in terms of the trajectory of the positive nature that humanity is supposed to go down. Would you guys agree with that, or have you seen other things?
Sorry, what was a question? Sorry.
Oh, just in terms of like, just talking about like a lot of our interactions seems to be more connected to do with like future timeline, or like where we're heading, as well as like old way as well. And, how Atlantis and Lemuria comes into it, and Mu, and, the glyphs and everything as well. Where do you guys sort of see us going?
Well, I've never seen a point in time in my lifetime to have such a nexus of the distant future and the distant past and the ancient past happening, kind of colliding at the same time. We're not talking about, like, they say that human beings live technically in the past all the time due to receptors. It takes time for the brain to translate what we're seeing and perceiving. So we're always kind of being we're slightly always lagging behind as we're being hurtled towards the future. But there's something else at play, and I think we can all see that as on a more meta level, if you will, that there's this convergence of the ancient past being unveiled, or unearthed rather, in technically unearthed as we speak, to show us the map of what the distant future can potentially be. And I don't know exactly what that future will look like, because it could go anywhere. It's a real nexus point. It can genuinely go anywhere. For the longest time, there was a sense of, so when I was a child, I had this excitement for the future. I was really excited about, like, what kind of technology we will reach, what sort of ability we will have. Will we finally get into ET contact? Like, what will that look like? And it was this sort of eager, like, bright-eyed excitement to see what tomorrow will look like. And then when I hit my teen or late teens, and then in my 20s, the world got really, really dark. In my perception, it got dark. And I got this fear of the future. Like, I was afraid of waking up the next day to see what was going on, what a new horror would unfold for the planet. And I had this real strong sense of fear. So I'm thinking, and then now everything that we've discovered thus far, everything that we've talked about, everything that I've been almost trying to, like, unearth of all the conversations I've had with Mesrith, telepathic conversations with Mesrith. And I'm trying to and downloads and everything he's been telling me. I'm trying to, like, skim through it all to see if I've missed something, because he's always telling me exactly what is going on, but he doesn't do it directly. It's like he won't tell. He wants me to earn it. He doesn't give information for free. He won't do that, because he's like, look, I'll meet you halfway, but you've got to come up to me as well. You can't just give, hold your hand out and expect me to give you literally the cosmos for you. That's not how it works, because you've got to show the ability that you can do something. You can be proactive. So I'm trying to get all this information, trying to read back on all the things that he's been saying, see if I've missed anything, to actually get a glimpse of what the future may look like. And we've reached a point from everything that we're seeing right now. This is a, well, I can't say what will happen tomorrow, but I can tell you that all the lies that we have been fed, not only in the last 10 years, but the last 100, 200, 300,000 years are being torn down. It's not sustainable anymore. And I'm talking about the lies that we've been told. It's no longer applicable. Like, we can't, it's being literally shredded from our eyes. The veil is being ripped off of our eyes, and we're being finally exposed to the truth for the first time, or at least exposed to prospect.
Something falling in the kitchen.
It's all good.
That was.
Okay, let's go. But yeah, we're finally faced with at least the reality that we have been lied to for this long, and what does that mean for us? And I think that human beings, look, a lot of my Balkan pessimism tells me that people are stupid. So, like, we can't be trusted with anything. But my ET contactee side of me says that, no, actually, you got to give people a bit of credit, because the thing is, it's ETs who actually have a lot more hope for us than I have hope for us in many ways. Like, they actually they see a lot more hope that we have potential to actually wake up and actually make the right choices. And I mean it, like, this time, because they've seen rise and falls and the ups and dips and all this sort of thing going on for countless millennia. But I think we have finally reached a point that this is going to be the very last dip. This is the last fall. And I think it's just going to go from here. And from everything that I have seen, from everything that they have seen, they're looking at it like, maybe this time these guys will actually pull their head out. Maybe this time they're actually serious, because we've never had an age where the truth has been a full frontal assault to us. I don't know.
Different levels.
It's like, and it's a kind of I have. It's almost aggressive that the truth is starting to come up. That if you've noticed that, like, there's this almost aggression to it. Like, I will not be ignored anymore. It's bashing our doors down. It's ripping the veil off our eyes. It's coming, and it will not be stopped, which is a positive thing. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, a lot of people get a lot of, will be afraid because they still cling on to the old paradigms, which I understand, but someone's got to be there to kind of help, be like, it's okay. There's nothing more humbling and more graceful to admit that you were wrong. We're all afraid of being wrong, but it is I think a transcendent state of being to actually admit, man, maybe I was incorrect about this. Maybe I was incorrect. Like, again, like as I said, I have a knack of being pessimistic, but I know I know that's delusional. Like, pessimism is delusional by its nature. But I have to fight that part of me constantly to actually look at it objectively from an ET perspective. I have to go from there to actually get the real insight of how we are, because it's so easy to dismiss our silly behavior, being like, oh, that person's an absolute, dumbass or whatever, like, easy to dismiss. But they're like, oh, how do you know? Well, like, have you actually seen what happened there? Like, why they are the way? Anyway, and it's really important. I think it's like so much. There's just so much. And so, to answer your question, going back to it, Solreta, I have no idea what's going to happen. Asking the wrong one.
I think it was a great answer. And definitely, I've seen people echoing in the comments as well. Like, Gisela said, it's do or die. And it really does feel, as you were saying, that it's happening on a multitude of different levels, or, the wake up sort of call is coming from multiple different places. I just want to answer this question really quick. And then, Ev, I want to get your take as well. So Emma was just saying, Sol, do you think that the Mako was an upgrade your soul had planned for? So I was just getting a download when I read that. And I feel like some of us come into this lifetime with knowledge and wisdom that comes from previous lifetimes. So if we're looking at that, we're multidimensionally kind of coexisting and experiencing other versions of us. I actually feel like it came in with guides, but it also felt like it was coming in for a reminder of like what I'd done in other lifetimes, or how I access information and knowledge. So yeah, thank you for asking that question, because it triggered a bit of a memory for me. And it's interesting because you can, and I know Emma's really into astrology, so you can see it in astrology as well. So I've got 3 yods in my astrology chart, which even to have 1 is a 3% chance. So to have 3 is very unusual. And I've got 2 trines. I think I had an earth trine, and maybe it might have been a fire trine, which is also a little bit more unusual. So I think it's in the astrology, it's in the charts, that sometimes we'll pull this stuff through from other lifetimes. Ev, was there something you wanted to add, or anything that the rocks have told you, or elders, or that you've got downloads around?
Okay. So it seems there's a lot of talk about how, when's it going to happen, what's it going to be like. But and I think we have tastes of that. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's still up to us. And I think we have a responsibility to be doing this and be prepared for the fact that it may take some time. But we may be the most important people here, not just collectively.
That would be
but collectively, we may be so instrumental in this because if it takes years, it takes years. But we may be the ones that that make it happen faster. And I know everyone wants it tomorrow, and a lot of people wanted it when we went to Uluru. And as we know, stuff happened, but everyone wanted to wake up the next morning and everything to be magically better.
Yeah.
So, but from what, and I think the thing, when we went into this, knowing a little bit of information, and now we've worked out for us to ascend, it has to be most of us. I think initially we thought, it'll just be.
Oh yeah.
It might be 15, 20. Let's get 20%, but no, it's got to be about 90% of us. And it's that small group that are in charge. Probably ones we don't even see, because we just see the little puppets, right? And it's the ones behind them that probably won't make it, which is fine, because look at the mess we're in. But part of that mess is the fact that we've also had a hand in that by just letting it happen, and we all have collectively to an extent. So it's also all on us. We could just stop obeying orders, right? And it all just stopped, right? But the thing of it is, and that's, we have to walk towards something as well. There has to be something there, because I think there's been moments in history where people thought, like, this isn't good enough. We want something more, in the 20s and the 60s, just in recent history. And I'm sure there are other times in history where we've kind of gone, and then for whatever reason it hasn't quite, got there. We've been close, I think. But hopefully this time we actually go the full way and actually are able to embrace what's out there for us. I'd like to see it, but I'm prepared to not and be part of that, continuing that legacy where it does happen as well. And look, and there are moments when I look around and go, oh, there's hope. I think I was at the pub a couple of months ago, and I went to the bathroom. I came back. My friends that are pretty normally straight down the line were talking about the Anunnaki, and I'm like, what? A, you're talking about that, and B, we're talking about that with me not in the room.
Yeah, how dare you?
You waited for me to leave to talk about this? How dare you?
Yeah, betrayal, unfriended.
You don't talk about that unless I'm here. Yeah. No, but so there's moments like that, little micro moments, and I'm like, oh, okay, so it is kind of spreading, and then there are other moments where I kind of go, oh, as well, but it's an emotional rainbow, right? And it's, you've got to hang on to those little moments when you go, oh, I think there's hope, or with this, and it's, for me, it's always someone you don't expect that is seeing through everything, seeing through the facade, and going, oh, we need change, we need something more. And you kind of go, oh, I never would have thought they would think that way, but they do. So it's not always who you think it is as well.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly. Yeah. And unfortunately, our brains are a bit wired that way, where we put things in categories, right? Got to make sense. And
interesting, that the Hopi prophecy that you've talked about too. I know you always talk about bringing snacks. That's like the main thing I remember. But Ev always talks about, hopping in everyone individually has to make that choice to hop in the river, and to sort of, I guess, be free of whether it's, feeling like we have to take everyone with us. But I think it's that 100 monkey thing, the morphogenic field resonance, what we're seeing happen right now. What I'm sort of thinking too, just listening to you talk about what you just said, is if we look into things in terms of a matrix, and in terms of like people being coded or programmed, and we see that with astrology and that too, that, there's certain personality types or certain programs that we come into, and certain blueprints, family dynamics and soul experiences that we are supposed to have down here. Do you feel like some of the code is actually being rewritten because we've reached that morphogenic flip point?
Yeah, definitely. I think, and a lot more of that in recent times, kind of like it's accelerating. There's been several shifts, and mind you, I think there are a lot of people that are just upset and angry at the moment, and they don't actually know why. They just are, and they'll latch on to whatever issue is the flavor of the month. And I'm not discarding what the issue is either. I'm just saying it's all part of something bigger. And I think even that is like the growing pains to get through all of that, to kind of go. And I'm always like looking at some friends, and they'll complain about, you know, this one thing or this one aspect of bureaucracy or their life, or maybe it's a workplace dilemma or something because they're in a government department and it's like ridiculous bureaucracy. But then other things, they're just like, oh no, but that's fine. I'm like, no, wait. Think of what you're just going through. That is spread everywhere. This discrepancy on how things should be. And I think that's the thing. It's that broad vision that we need to have and kind of go. And that's hard, because then you have to admit that maybe the system you're in is wrong, and that you've been part of that, and that it's often easier to get angry at someone that's pointing it out than to kind of go, oh, it's no good. But I think slowly people are starting to go, oh, actually, I don't like this thing. I don't like that thing. But we have to replace it with something. And that's what we need to access. And that's going to take some time. And
because there's a lot of brilliant people out there, and, millions of brilliant people out there, and they all have a million solutions on what we should do next. And I don't think we have the time or the resources to invest in every single one of those ideas. So, and I mean, look, we still have to battle with ego. There's still a lot of people who may have the best solutions, who think that they are in the right to claim some kind of authority in that new establishment. That's still something that we have to contend with. That is still a very real risk. And I mean on a societal scale, like, we can create something decent and something good. I was looking for a quote that Mesworth gave to me a few months ago, and I can't seem to find it in my notebook, but it was in reference to building this new society, this new system, away from the old, so we can walk towards it, as opposed to just simply walking away from the old and towards something new. But Mesworth was explaining to me that you have all the pieces there to actually build something better, but it will fall. He was essentially saying, you can put it all together, get all the right pieces, and make something new and better, but it will fall down into the same old heap if you still allow that those old attitudes to resurface, that old way of thinking, of wanting to control, the ones who think that they have the right to say to set the standard of what everyone should live in their new society, and that's basically fallen back into the same old heap again. So I think on a more meta level, and I think there was some parts that Mesworth was kind of alluding to after that. After he told me that statement, he was saying on a more the awareness. He was talking more about awareness. He's implying that it's you can create all the physical stuff, but where's the consciousness element? And it's and this new change and this frontal assault of the truth that we're receiving, it is actually forcing us to change our awareness and to shift and to split it right open, or split the third eye open, like not only in a metaphorical but a literal sense. We will not be blinded anymore, like it won't be calcified anymore. So there is definitely a shift on that front, on an energetic front too. It's not just the systemic. What was I remember what you were saying about flavor of the month. People are angry, but a lot of people don't know why they're angry. And I put myself in the same position, because I find myself, why am I, well, especially in the last few years, I'm angry all the time. I'm angry about everything. But what am I actually angry about? I smell it in the air. My gut is telling me that there's something wrong in the air. If there's something wrong in the water, there's something wrong. And we all feel it. And And I'm like, this is the
microplastics, but
okay. Forget it.
No. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and it's quite valid that people are angry too.
Yes,
you know, they've been basically enslaved, and yeah, because of my deep dive into Gnosticism, there is an aspect of our nature that is a slave quality, but then there's also an aspect that's divine and empowered.
The master quality.
Yeah. And a lot of mythologies and cosmologies are just explaining the self. Like, we're always like, oh, this and that. I'm not denying there aren't that aspect as well, but it's like, it's a reflection of ourselves. So we all have this kind of group herd mentality. We're like, oh, we better do what we're told. But then we also have this isn't good enough. Like, we need something more. And we all battle with that on a daily basis. So yeah, there's that as well. There's our actual nature of those dualistic powers when it's fighting for supremacy, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, you know, I don't know. You know, but times in the past I thought, you know, you've got to have control, anarchy. Oh, what would that be like? But now I'm like, I wonder. Maybe that would be better.
You know, it's interesting. Yeah. So I just wanted to lead into just something. Now that we're talking about this, Mesrith has shown me on different worlds that a lot of the people on many different worlds have gone through very similar situations, like this sort of multi-dimensional cocooning, the cocoon about to split open.
It's almost like a template.
It is a template. It's kind of it's like not every planet is identical in its format of following that template. Like, you know, some do a little bit this, some do a bit of that at a different time, sure. But there seems to be a universal thing, which is where all species, when they've reached a certain level of sentience, sentience, and the conflict between technology and spirituality starts to that split turns into a chasm, and then eventually turns into a battle. There seems it's like this bizarre interdimensional thing starts happening where you hit this kind of chaos that sort of splits and it clashes and then splits, and it affects everything around it, not just on the physical front, but also the astral, the conscious or psychic, whatever you want to call it. It goes everywhere, and it fractures and splits, and it's like this really bizarre system that happens over and over again on many different worlds. And you know, I'm trying not to be pessimistic. I apologize, so I'll try to be as optimistic as possible for this one. But should humans evolve to that high point where we're akin to what our star family is, and the next, I guess you could say, intelligent species on this planet starts evolving to where we have been, we can be the ones to help and take care of them, because it's like, you know, pass that torch along. And I want to see how they do it, and I want to see how will they get to that point? Will there be a break in that template? You know, it's just this such a bizarre thing that happens over and over again, and I'm just and I just see it. This what Mesrith was showing me. He says he's seen it. He doesn't have a number for it. That's how many times it happens. There's no number for it. And they've studied this. They not only observe the patterns, but they study it. And they're like, what does this mean? Because as in his people have gone through the exact same thing many times themselves. And they're like, what is going on here? Is this a shift in creation? Like, you know, I don't know. It's like this. Once we start talking about that, that's when everything starts to, I don't know. Where does that go? What does this mean?
I see this come up in some of my clients' aura drawings as well. Yeah. And when I'm looking into their soul missions and things. So it really relates back to the movie Doctor Strange, where he's tapping in and we see all the different multiverse versions of reality that could exist. And sometimes there's maybe like 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters difference in the differentiation of frequency. But one particular type of soul group that I see incarnate, so if we talk about indigos and crystals, rainbow children, or, like rainbow warriors, different soul groups that come in. Blue soul group seems to be connected to Pleiades, Lyra, Sirius, inner earth, and also the elvish realms. But what I see with that particular soul group, they're more likely to see the blue orbs, they're more likely to see some of the golden Pleiadian ships, but on a soul level, in terms of mission, they incarnate not only down here into our earth realm to be sort of a spiritual midwife, to usher in this change, or to sort of be like a bearer of light to awaken others to that frequency. And just when we think like, oh, why would we come back to Earth and do this again? They're doing it on and off many, many worlds, because it's the same thing. They're ushering change, they're midwifing or birthing that planetary ascension, the humanity of these planets, or, I don't know if you would call it humanity, but they're upgrading and accelerating the consciousness. So it's so similar to what you were seeing. I'm just going to pick some cards to have a look into if there's any message to do with like where we're going that Spirit would like to share with us today, because they kept directing me to pick up the cards. So we'll have a look in and see if there's anything they want to add to the show around the theme of what we're talking about. And also I was getting the download too, that with the anger also comes where we don't tolerate things anymore, and it's the beginning of change. So it's actually healthy in that way. So I have 6 cards. I'll just feel into these quickly. So the first, feeling and vibration. I'll flip my camera down. I don't know if you guys can see. I've got them face down. So we'll flip them in a second, but the first feeling that I get is a lot of yellow coming up. So yellow usually represents study, education, learning. So if we're looking at Earth from a point of being an educational facility in terms of like soul evolution, that's kind of the feeling that they're showing and downloading. The other thing they're showing me is it almost looks like an American gym class. And they're showing me a rope and showing me like we have to climb that rope. We have to develop some kind of spiritual muscle or spiritual strength. And I also wonder if this is what Messereth is working with you, saying we've got to earn it. We've actually got to go through this. So I'll flip these over. And the first card that we have is 8 of Wands. So 8 of Wands is Mercury, Sagittarius. And this is a point in our evolution that we're currently in, starting to break free of, but it's a compass that's off cycle. And if we look at it, most people are sort of like, I'm going to shoot an arrow over here and see if this makes a difference. Everything that we're getting the message around is it's not about the external change. That's where we get thrown off point, or we get the compass shift. And there's some external change, whether it's looking after health and, meditation and things, but it's all about how you're feeling on the inward, because this is a quantum jump card. And it always takes me to the High Priestess, which is doing away with the tools, letting go of outward change, and really just holding the blueprint for what it is that we want to bring down on this soul level. So the other cards are my little shaman card, Prince of Cups, which is about keeping and continuing to have a foot in each world. So we want to balance the physical with the spiritual. It's about bringing medicine into this realm with the blue lotus and the activated Kundalini heart energy. We've got a 3 of Cups. So it's to bring this through and to talk about subjects and topics like this with abundance. This is also, for me, tribes coming back together. So I always call it the witches reuniting. We have the Taurus energy with the moon, 6 of Discs, success. So to me, this is Mary Magdalene energy in the center. This is like unconditional love being very, very important to bringing this back and to grounding and sitting around that. And it's a connection back to our spiritual essence. So this is Pisces and Jupiter. If we were to look 1 cup removed from this to an 8 of Cups, it's a system that's broken and a system that's stuck. So Spirit is telling us we need to move away from things that are more parasitic that we see with the last card, and things that are, we can see that there's a change that's being birthed, but we have to come back to this first. So with this energy, this is connecting on a spiritual and allowing it to trickle into our earth realm. So we need to remember our sovereignty. We need to get back to that love and compassion energy and to really start to ground that. But we need to stop looking outside of ourselves for this change or for the answer or a solution. And I do feel this is where the elders are helping us, even though that would be an external thing, but they're steering us back to ourselves and back to the original information and knowledge. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Did you guys have anything you want to add?
I don't know.
Or any sort of like just download or things like that that are coming through to you both?
Well, nothing in the present, but I keep getting pulled back. The repetition of three things I had this morning and yesterday and the day before that, almost like a compulsive thought that kept running in my mind for the last few days. It was slow down, stop, reverse. Slow down, stop, reverse. I don't think it's like necessarily even referencing to just, on things on a global scale, but also on a personal scale. It feels like because we're all moving with, because we all exist in the sea of consciousness and we ride the waves, wherever the sea moves, we are pulled along as droplets with it. I think that everybody, so one of my abilities is actually being able to access portions of that, and or at least being able to kind of tell the temperature of what the ocean is, by mirroring my own current situation, by reading my body, reading what's going on in my mind, the sub, if you will, the subconscious layers of what they're trying to tell me. And I read all this information, and then it gives me insight on where the ocean is. And there's this very turbulent, it feels like like a storm in the middle of the ocean that's constantly going. And Mesrith has been very insistent, and he's told me this principle of slow down, stop, reverse years ago. In reference to some of my more bad habits, but I think he was actually talking more about for all of us. And it was, to, just calm the, the waters are getting chaotic here. Just slow it down, just slow down, just calm down, just stop for a second, and then let's go back, and it's this, really interesting phrasing, the way he says it, because everything he says, it both relates to in an individual, to a collection of people, to a universe at the same time. He's talking about all three of these things at the exact same time. And I just find it, and it takes, and what you were saying about like climbing that rope up, Solreta, but like, getting that, we have to get to a point where we can actually look at these things and really analyze, like, okay, what does this mean? And now that I'm thinking about it now, there is no new information that Mesrith gives. There is nothing new. There's no new anything. All he does is confirm what we instinctively know. There's nothing new there. It's like the most, well, as an example, the slow down, stop, reverse. That's an obvious thing. We already know this. With all these problems that we're facing in our independent personal lives on a bigger scale too. This is just an obvious thing. He's just reminding us what we already know. He's just saying the quiet thing out loud. And I think we already know what we need to do. And that's essentially what he's saying. You already know what you need to do. Why are you bothering me with these silly questions? Like, I'm already telling, damn it, leave me alone. Let me enjoy my eternal retirement in peace, for goodness sake. But yeah, that's essentially where he feels. It's like he's already saying this and repeating this over and over and over again. Like, calm down, guys, relax. It's not that chill. Like, and I just find that, like, some of the other ET mobs out there, they tend to. I mean, I can't speak for them. I definitely don't know all of them, but I only know like a handful. But the ones that I do know, they look at Earth more of as a almost, it's like a soap opera, like what's going to happen tomorrow, stay tuned, what's going to happen next week kind of thing. So whereas Mesrith's group, who are the more that sit above all that, they're looking at like, oh yeah, there's we see patterns here, we can see what's going on, and in a kind of like I've had contact with many different types of ETs, and they have this almost pitiable, like a pity on their faces when they realize where I'm from, and almost like they feel sorry for me, and I'm thinking like, well, thank you, condolences, for your condolences, but that's a bit racial, isn't it? Like, but no, and I realize in those moments, I was like, and it's very few moments. I don't get that all the time, but there's those glimpses in their eyes, you can kind of see like there's like, oh wow, you're from there. That's a tough act. They're also kind of in that same old dismissive kind of like similar system of thinking. They're still trapped in that same old reference of thinking of like, as we are in many ways, like, better or worse, ego, not ego. It's just like that. They still have a little bit of those old dynamics still at play. But with Mesrith's group, they don't have any of that. That system died eons ago. Like they don't. Well, it's easy to not have an ego if you don't have a body. I'll tell you that.
and effectively immortal.
Well, the only reason he's immortal because he's not alive. He's never been alive. It helps. But it's interesting to see how like. But then I asked Mesrith. I remember like. I'm going on a bit of a tangent. I apologize, but it's just all kind of coming back to me now. But I remember talking about Mesrith's immortality, or his people's ability to be immortal. He's never actually said that they are actually immortal, but he has never said that they were immortal. The way he's phrased it, that we can't die. An interesting choice of words. We can't die. Not the fact that like we have eternal life or anything like that. He says, there's almost a sense of longing for it. And it took me some years to hack that through, to decode that, and through conversations. I remember he was saying, he would give stories of how he really feels about this through small anecdotes. But I remember the last thing he says, like, life is fun. Living is fun. And once we finished climbing that mountain, and then we realized there's nowhere else left to climb, like small things like that. And it gives insight to where his people are, why they are so invested in the realms of the living, or wherever, whatever you want to call it. But they're finished, and we are the reason that keeps them up. That makes them wake up in the morning to keep, that keeps them going, because they've gotten to a point where they're like, man, this, we reached the end here, but now there's nowhere else left to go. We'll look for the ones that are still on that path, and, help them, guide them on their journey. And there's like it's like a melancholy, there's like a bittersweet to that sentiment. And I think in many ways we have a lot to complain about, and rightfully so, in our lives and on our world, true, but enjoy it while it lasts. Enjoy it while it lasts, because once we reach the end, we may look back on this time and be like, man, that was so much fun. We've been going on the same roller coaster again for the second time is never as satisfying. So
well, I think that's an important point to end on. That it is about having fun, and that's what we need to remember down here. So we do have the link in the description box below for the conference that's on, and I just popped up Forgotten Origin as well. And I just want to remind you guys that we do have our potion event coming up, which will be it's a Virgo one. So we're having the solar eclipse new moon in Virgo, Evan being the in-house Virgo today. So it's all about planting seeds for future. If you guys have got your potion, you will have already been sent an invite, or it will be coming shortly. So I look forward to seeing you guys in our Soul Tribe event, as well as this one too. So this is an open to the public free one. The other one is received when you get a potion. So this will be happening a little bit later in the week. Everything's in the description box below. It's going to be a lot of fun to meet people that we see in these YouTube chats. And I just want to remind you guys, if you're wanting a booking, head on over to solreta.com and you will see all of the different bookings there. You can use the code LOVE for the Psychic Tarot's couple session. That's valid till the end of the month. And yeah, as we had before, Forgotten Origin, please make sure to head out over there. But I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show today, guys. I would love to chat longer, but I have another show coming up. So I have to disappear in a second, reset up. But thank you to the audience as well. Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you so much, Solreta. Thank you for having us.
Great to be here.
Yeah, it's fun chatting. You know, I really enjoy our chats. And yeah, you're really insightful, and you know, I love your energy and your audience. You've cultivated an amazing audience. I'm looking at the chat, and it's just you really made something special here. So thank you so much for having us. Yeah,
thank you. Oh, that's so sweet. Well, I'd love to have you guys back on sometime as well, and talk about any updates or downloads you get, even after the conference as well. I'm sure there'll be a lot more information that comes up as well. But you guys have a wonderful conference, and I'm sure many people will see you there. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you.